risen from the dead.
For our sake, he was crucified under Pontius Pilate. When it comes to translation, the shortest words are often the hardest ones to deal with. What exactly do we mean when we say that Jesus died for our sake? Just to repeat these words like parrots without thinking about them is a cop-out. Remember that the most important commandment is to love the Lord your God not only with all your heart and all your strength, but with all your mind. If we just can't be bothered to think about it, that's not good enough. The commandment to love with the mind tells us that thinking about God makes sense. It's important to get some idea at least of what sort of sense the phrase "for us" might make. There is a basic problem with thinking about abstract things, which is that we tend to think only about them in terms of concepts and ideas that we already have. And these concepts are not fixed. They change as time goes by. There was a time when referring to the sufferings of Jesus as the repayment of a debt that was incurred through the fall made sense. But now the meaning of debt has changed. That explanation in terms of debt is not good sense. It does not make much sense to us in today's world. The same is true of the concept of justice. The word justice used to mean both rightness and putting things right. It used to mean taking a broken situation and doing the best thing to mend it. But for many people, justice has come to mean the application of a code of laws. In many countries, we can say that the ministry of justice is a ministry of using the law to serve the interests of the powerful. The same thing that happened to justice has happened to debt. Debt also has had the original meaning drained right out of it. Debt is between people. Debt is when I owe you something. Debt establishes a relationship between us in that I am your debtor until I can pay you back. The debt may arise because you have given me something or because I have wronged you in some way, but the result is the same in either case. There are even debts that it is almost impossible to imagine paying back, as when, for example, you save my life. Paradoxically, there is in that case a kind of obligation working in the opposite direction. Let's just take this example. If you save a puppy from drowning, somehow you have taken on the obligation of taking care of the puppy. Jesus lived in a Semitic culture. He talks much more about things rather than concepts, about vines and towers and branches. And things don't change the same way that concepts do. Thinking of the crucifixion of Jesus as repaying the debt incurred by the sin of Adam and Eve only makes sense if we remember that the original meaning of justice and debt is making a broken situation right. And we think of being saved as God rescuing us from a bad situation and taking on the obligation of minding us and caring for us. But that brings us to the idea of atonement, and I will say something about that in the next talk.
And is risen from the dead.